Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Manic Movie Misfits podcast. I am your co-host, John Phillips, and guess what? TJ's back, or I guess I'm back. One of the two.
Yeah, something like that. I'm here now. I'm not dead.
TJ's not dead.
I crawled out of my casket.
I'm not stuck with two hyper SpongeBob loving crazy people in John and Calvin. Thank gosh. No, just kidding. They're great. I appreciate them coming on for a couple episodes with our beautiful backdrop and talking about very random movie topics. But anyway, we did that. And today it is a glorious Sauna Sunday. We have our beverages. I have a LaCroix.
I have this Mountain Dew Baja Blast thing. It says zero sugar, but it just tastes like stevia.
And it's don't forget, TJ, it's the Taco Bell original.
Yeah, it's Baja Blast.
Exactly.
Without normal sugar, it tastes like stevia.
What is that? I don't know.
It's a sugar alternative.
Oh.
It's like the really famous sugar alternative.
Is it as good as the alternative to the alternative sugar? Like the alternative to the alternative?
I'm trying to think of what that would be. What I don't even know. It's the I know when you like go to restaurants, it's in the green little packet.
Oh, that's a thing. I was just joking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's stevia. There's Splenda. That's the other one. And then there's I think I want to say it's monk's fruit. That's one. You got sugar in the raw. You got granulated sugar. This is what happens when you work in a restaurant.
TJ knows his sugars.
Yeah.
Do you know your salts, your peppers? Do you know all the spices? Are you big spice guy? You know all the spices?
No, I don't know any spices. You got salt. You got normal granulated salt. You got sea salt.
Are you the guy in the restaurant that goes around and gets to sprinkle pepper and salt on people's salads?
I can.
So they'll say, so you say when, and then you'll go, grazie, after you're done.
Yeah. I'll pull a Dane Cook. And that's not Dane Cook, that's Dana Carvey. Not Dane Cook. Wrong comedian.
And David Spade, too.
Yeah.
And Chris Farley with a cameo at the end. It's a SNL skit for those that are wondering at this point.
Oh, God, now that I thought of Dane Cook, I'm going to think of his weird
You're going to think of Dane
style.
DeHaan. That's your immediate transition. Brain
DeHaan.
transition.
Oh.
The greatest Green Goblin ever put on screen, right?
Oh, God. Don't even.
Peaks in... I mean, when he had that dance scene, right, when they're in the prison or whatever. I think it's the prison.
Does he?
He kind of dance. Does he have a little dance? I think he has a little dance. But
I can't remember.
When he's trying to get Electro
out?
Yeah, Electro out. I thought he danced at the beginning. Maybe not.
He might. I feel like most of that Amazing Spider-Man 2 is kind of a blur to me. I don't know why. I remember parts of it, and then there's parts of it I really don't. I really don't remember like a solid chunk of like the middle of that movie.
Well, that movie's kind of weird because sometimes it feels like it is two different movies.
Because it honestly does.
That's probably why you do forget that. And I think I have the same issue because I always think, oh, is this the Amazing Spider-Man 3? No, obviously there's not Amazing Spider-Man 3, but it's like, is this just a different movie and that's why I'm forgetting it? But
yeah, it's really weird. Like, it has a lot of tonal issues that are very iffy.
Yeah. On that iffy note, we, on today's Sauna Sunday, with our cool beverages, we're going to be talking about the recent movies TJ and I have been watching together.
Yeah.
So 3 or 4 of them about, and we're going to discuss what we liked about them, what we didn't like about them, our thoughts on them in a spoiler-free fashion. So don't worry about having to click off because you won't have to, whether you're listening on our YouTube channel or whether you're watching on our YouTube channel or listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That was a pretty sleek plug, wasn't it, TJ?
Yes, it was.
It was. So do that. Don't do that because it's all spoiler-free from now on. TJ, is there a particular movie you want to start with, or do you think we should start with the more recent stuff we watched together, or what do you want to...
Yeah, I guess we can just work backwards. I'll pull up a little thing.
Okay.
Because I know I have these all saved. I guess the first one we could talk about is Near Dark.
Catherine Bigelow. I currently am in love with her directing and her movies. TJ and I brought this Catherine Bigelow up to TJ on numerous occasions in the last month.
Oh, yeah.
Because I watched Zero Dark 30 and it reignited the passion that I had for
Her movies.
her movies,
Yeah.
Point Break and The Hurt Locker. So we decided to watch, I decided, and then TJ was like, yeah, I'm cool with it, to watch Near Dark.
Yeah.
Which there is a fair amount of people that say that is her best movie, according to people that I listen, other podcasts that I listen to. Don't agree with that,
No, it's my least favorite.
but I will say it has some of my favorite moments. In fact, there is the famous, we'll just jump right into it.
Yeah.
There's this famous bar scene in it, which that's all I'll say. It's famous because you might have heard of it. That is absolutely fabulous, and I think is in that particular moment peak Catherine Bigelow, because she, in that scene in particular, the suspense and the way the suspense is carried throughout and builds up and is sometimes put in the back seat or thrusted in front of you as a viewer. It is manipulated and conducted very well, and that is essentially one of the things that Catherine Bigelow does really well. It's a common theme throughout a lot of her movies, including the 3 that I mentioned before.
Yeah, I was going to say this is, I think the 4th movie I've seen from her as well. The 3rd being the 3 you listed as well. I'm just going to say outright, this is my least favorite Catherine Bigelow movie. I think, honestly, by a long shot. Yes, there are standout moments to this movie, but I think after, how long ago did we watch this movie? Like, almost 2 weeks ago?
Almost 2 weeks.
Oh my God. The more I sit on it, the more I kind of just think, and I've thought about lowering my score for it a few times, but I haven't yet. But like I said, there's standout moments. I think, like scenes like the bar scene and like the motel scene and stuff like that. You can see why it's like revered as like a kind of like that kind of a lower, or not lower, like smaller, like hit for her kind of thing.
Yeah, this was before she was big, for any of those wondering.
Yeah.
This was before her popular, I guess you'd say, breakout film, which is Point Break. But
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably like what, 6 or 7 years before,
yeah, because Point Break was in 92?
somewhere in there. Yeah, it's early 90s. I know that.
Look.
But yeah, I think for me, it's just, this is a very basic 80s movie. Like, the plot structure is very basic. The feel of it, I think, at times is very basic. Yeah, but that being said, that's not always a bad thing, and I don't hate it because of that. I felt like it could have been more at times, and I just kind of just sat there and I was like, this is just okay.
Yeah, I agree. It isn't. I think if I would sum it up in one word, I would say it is an okay movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, it reaches that level because it is elevated by the 2 scenes that you pointed out.
Yeah.
And also Bill Paxton.
Oh yeah, Bill Paxton's a god.
People have said this is his best performance, and I can understand why, because
He's pretty good.
When he is on screen, you can't take your eyes off him. Your
Right.
eyes are immediately drawn to him.
Mm-hmm.
The main
Yeah.
character's very lackluster and kind of boring. Thank God Bill Paxton is there, because he makes that movie in many regards. After
Yeah.
all, he literally makes the bar scene as good as it is. I mean, obviously Catherine Bigelow's direction is a part of that, but finger looking good, or
Yeah.
lines like that,
Yeah.
and the way he
Carries
himself through the scene and walks around all these different people,
Yeah.
and committing all this gory violence is just, it's perfection. It's electric, his
Yeah.
performance in the film.
Yeah, he's definitely the best performance, like easily.
Easily.
Yeah, that's one thing I found really weird about this movie is like the main characters, specifically like the main guy and his girlfriend that's also the vampire. Their acting isn't great.
Would you go as far to say as the main actor is a decorated 2x4? Like, he's a 2x4, but he has some moments where he's not quite 2x4.
I don't know. I think he kind of rides the line in between, because I think there's some moments where he's really good, and there's some like in terms of like compared to like what he has been in the past scenes, there's some parts where it's really cringy. Specifically, the beginning. Like, I honestly had a weird time getting through the beginning of this movie.
This setup for it.
Yeah, because like the main part where they're, or like not the main part, the beginning part where they're like in the car and they're going around. Their acting is super cringy. Like, it's like I was just like, how, why?
Yeah.
It felt almost like high schoolers trying to, like, high schoolers imitating like that kind of like lovey-dovey kind of thing, but like in a high school play. Like it was so cringy, and I was just like, oh my god. And then it got better, and I was like, okay, this I'm here for it now. But there was a while where it's just like, these two can not they're not carrying this movie. I can tell.
No, yeah, I agree. It was a struggle at the beginning, and then when you kind of got into what the whole deal is with the vampires, and how they roam around and take victims to survive and things like that, it did get a lot better. But I agree. I had a positive and yearning outlook on this film going into it, because I really wanted to like this film. And there, like I said, there are many moments that I do like.
Yeah.
However, that immediately made my initial impressions or my hopes crumble a little. And Bill Paxton, we might keep going back to him in this conversation because he is that good. Regrew some of that foundation, and thank God he was there for it. It also is just a perfect role for Bill Paxton too, considering what he kind of exceeds at in that, having that comedic kind of role, but then also infusing a little drama to it as well, was a perfect match for him, I think, in this regard. Mm-hmm. I am not too familiar with him. I've seen him in Aliens and maybe one or two other things, but I know one thing he does really excel at is kind of that goofy comedy sort of thing. I mean, in Aliens, he has like the iconic "it's game over, man" sort of line. Over. But so I knew he had some good some good comedic timing. So I think this is also a positive for Catherine too. The way she was able to recognize that, but then also enforce some drama on him, and him killing it in that regard too, I think is really cool to see. But yeah, the two main characters I could really care less about.
Yeah, they're
even the rest of the group of the vampire group I could care less about, because they never really gave us any connection with any of them. And so we didn't have that. And then when you combine that with the fact that there wasn't really any standout acting performances or individual acting by any of them, except for maybe the guy that's the
leader, Lance Hendrickson.
Yeah, who's I
was gonna say, out of the rest of the group, I think he's like the best of the group.
Yeah.
He kind of has that stoic like feel to him, and I think that's just a role he does like good, like really well done. Because I feel like that's a decent amount of his characters. And I think he was the one who was the least iffy as compared to the rest of the group.
Yeah, he was. I would agree with that. I need to see more of his films. I've also seen him in Aliens, and he did a nice job in that film as well. And speaking of Aliens, there is a little Easter egg for the film that you guys should look out for, in case you haven't seen the film, or if you have seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. But it's a cool little Easter egg about Aliens. And another kind of interesting, funny connection with Aliens is that James Cameron and Catherine Bigelow were married, I believe, at this time, or were close to being married at this time. So there you go. Lots of connections between Aliens and Near Dark in this film. So yeah, it was a fun experience. I'll also shout out the makeup. I thought the makeup was really good too. Mm-hmm. There was a few moments where they used CGI and it again, ages poorly because it's an 80s CGI for the most part. But the makeup, when it was there and it was physically there on the character, it looked great. I'll especially shout out the very end. Bill Paxton's makeup at the very end was pretty gory and detailed, but yeah. I think overall just an okay movie.
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah, I'm still kind of riding the line of like, should I lower it? Should I keep it? But I'd say it's a decent watch. Is it the best movie now?
I personally would recommend it. I think if anything, go watch it because of Bill Paxton. I think a lot of people will like his performance, and it is early stages Catherine Bigelow. So if you like her suspense, you will get that in a few scenes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely would agree on like, if you want a good vampire movie, give it a try. It is a decent movie. Just don't expect like a masterpiece from it. Yeah, but what Catherine Bigelow movie are you interested in watching next?
That's a good question. This was the one, as you know, that I was most interested in after I watched Point Break, Zero Dark, and The Hurt Locker. I think, honestly, is it okay to answer the Aurora movie that she's coming out with, the new one?
The next one? Oh, yeah, her next new one, yeah.
The reason I would say that is because the plot is really interesting. Now, do I remember the plot? No, I remember looking it up and thinking that was interesting. What is Aurora? Aurora movie.
Yeah, I'd say I'm pretty excited to watch Strange Days. But what I'm interested to see,
what is it?
Just in general, is the one called Blue Steel with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
Just because I heard it is not that great.
Well, I heard of that movie, but I had no idea that it was Catherine Bigelow that directed it, which is kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, the weird thing is like it has a decent Rotten Tomatoes score. It's like a 72, and then you look at the audience score, and it's a 36. And so there's like a weird dissonance between everything, and I'm interested.
Interesting. So Catherine Bigelow's next movie is a Netflix movie. Huh.
Okay. Interesting.
Let's see.
She's following David Fincher.
So the screenplay adapting the upcoming novel will be adapted by David Cope himself.
I was going to say, I thought the original writer was doing the screenplay.
Cope's credits include such big projects as Jurassic Park, Mission Impossible, Spider-Man 2002, Stir of Echoes. Let's see. What is it about, though? Okay, what's the plot? It says... I'll just do this quickly and then we can move on. So it says, in Aurora, Illinois, Aubrey Wheeler is... Wheeler? Wait, this is not Stranger Things. Is just trying to get by after her semi-criminal ex-husband split, leaving behind his unruly teenage son. Then the lights go out, not just in Aurora, but across the globe. A solar storm has knocked out power almost everywhere. Suddenly, all problems are local, very local, and Aubrey must assume the mantle of fierce protector of her suburban neighborhood.
Okay. Interesting.
And then it continues with more plot, but it's not really overarching. It's just some minor plot details. But yeah, I am interested. I think
I'm definitely interested to see her like go back away from like the military kind of like true story kind of thing, and kind of focus more on like some of her early stuff, which is a little more fantasy based and a lot less, a lot more fiction kind of based.
Catherine Bigelow is nice because she's a director where, like Quentin, where all her movies really feel like a special event because she does not make a lot of them. Now, this is nothing on Scorsese or something. Scorsese's, all of his movies to both of us are special events. But there's something different when you have someone, again, like Quentin or Catherine, where they only make one every few years. It really is different, and I like having those kind of directors out there, so I think it should be interesting seeing her return to the movies after, what was Detroit, 2017?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so 5-6 years, pretty much. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to see like the difference in like that kind of those kinds of directors, because I mean, You got, you mentioned Scorsese. Other people like that are like Woody Allen and Kenneth Branagh, who just like, I feel like at least at like 2-year hiatus at best. And it's just like they're always something new, but there is something like special too.
Oh, Michael Mann. You could also include Michael Mann as well.
Michael Mann does not make. When was his last movie? Like 2005.
I think he made. Well, even early on in his career, he still spaced out his stuff. I think
So.
I know isn't he making? I don't want to go too off on a tangent here, but isn't he making a movie coming up called Ferrari?
Yeah, he's making a movie about Ferrari.
And then he announced actually recently, which we didn't get a chance to talk about on the podcast, but he wrote the book with wrote Heat 2. He co-authored Heat 2. And then he's also, that book is going to be turned into a movie as well. So he's going to make a second Heat.
Was Heat written by him, or did he just direct it?
I will find out
I'll check that one.
Okay, you check that one. What did you want me to check? Last movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He's another one that's interesting, and I think also his movies will continue to feel like a special event, not because just, it's kind of funny too with comparing Tarantino with Bigelow to Michael Mann, considering not only do all three of them they space out their movies quite a bit, but also they all have very unique directing styles.
Yeah.
With Catherine suspense, Michael Mann's cinematography, and just Quentin being Quentin with all his wild stuff. Cinematography, dialogue.
Yeah, even James Cameron fits into that.
For spacing out movies?
Oh, yeah.
What was his last one seriously Avatar?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, and I think before that it was, I think it might have been True Lies, which was, I think it was like late 90s. Yeah, Ferrari has Adam Driver, Penelope Cruz.
I'm excited. That's a cool pairing, Adam Driver and Michael Mann.
Yeah. And then Heat 2, yeah. And Heat 1 was written and directed solely by him.
Okay. Technically, Michael Mann has been busy because...
Made Mindhunter and stuff like that.
Well, no.
Or not Mindhunter,
Tokyo Vice.
Tokyo Vice, yeah. I'm thinking of Fincher.
Yeah, Tokyo Vice, and then executive produced 4V Ferrari, produced Black Hat. So, I mean,
He directed Black Hat.
Who directed it?
I think he directed it.
It doesn't... On IMDb, it says he just produced it.
Oh.
Or maybe...
Directed by Michael Mann.
Oh. Well, it only shows producer on here. Okay.
Oh, I find out why I said Mindhunter, because I looked at Manhunter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's another director that I need to dive into a little more, especially mostly with his earlier films, like Manhunter and
Thief.
The Insider. Or no, not The Insider. What was the other one?
Thief?
Thief, that's right.
Yeah. The Insider's, I want to say, like late 90s.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, we are going to transition from Near Dark and all this other interesting mess of topics to Police Story 3.
Yeah,
Supercop. Man, did I love this movie. Talk about a movie that was actually solid all the way through. Yeah. And even a little bit more, even more so, heightened by, of course, Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
And Michelle Yeoh, who comes into the fold with this film. And I've got to say, right off the bat, one of my initial impressions after watching it, and I kind of thought about this over the week, here and there, since we watched it, the Jackie Chan and Michelle Yeoh actor-actress duo has become a personal favorite of mine, just from this movie alone. Because I think about all my favorite actress-actress duos, actor-actress, actor-actor duos. They are dynamic in this film, and for a film that is really built upon all these big action set pieces and all these big stunts, they do have time to cook from a dialogue perspective as actually seeming like they have chemistry, which is really neat because, again, it is a lot of the film is taken up by
crazy action.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was surprising and welcoming. Would you agree, TJ?
Yeah.
As far as the chemistry is concerned with those two.
Yeah. I think both of them are very well renowned for doing their own thing, and they're consistently like they're pretty goated in I think in that kind of sense, and just in martial arts movies and stuff like that.
That is a good point because they really, as far as when you think of actors doing their own stunts and, like you said, martial arts stuff, they really are up there.
Yeah, they're
obviously Jackie, but Michelle Yeoh too, for sure.
They're both pretty like iconic in that kind of sense. It was definitely interesting seeing them team up. I mean, it's definitely one of those things that's just like you watch it and you're just like this. It feels like a match made like perfectly. How could this go wrong?
Yeah,
and it doesn't. It's fantastic.
And I'll say too, it was nice because would I have been fine with a third Police Story movie with just Jackie Chan doing his stuff and having some mediocre supporting characters at moments? Sure, I would have been fine with that, and it probably still would have been good.
Yeah,
but bringing in the high power, the powerhouse that is Michelle Yeoh, added a whole nother layer to the film and made it 10 times more interesting.
Yeah,
and thrilling, and for many reasons, I think it made the film almost, if not just as good as the second one. I mean, I'll at least say this. The drop-off is very, 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 very small, I think, between this second one and this third one because, and I think a big reason is Michelle Yeoh, because she is that good in this film.
Oh, yeah. For me, I think, I'd say they're pretty neck and neck. I think as a movie, I think 2 is better.
Yeah.
3, it has like this weird like change of direction and like it just feels different. Then again, it is a different director, and I think
that is a good point you bring up. I think we should talk about is the fact that it feels way not way different, but fairly different. Yes, different than the first and the second one. And you're saying that's because it's a different director?
I think it's a different director. I think it's a different
studio, maybe
studio too. Like I think a solid chunk changed in between the making of these two, or 2 and 3. I still think, I mean, Jackie Chan is still headlining with action, and he probably helped write a little bit of it too.
Yeah,
keep that like feel there. But there is I feel like there is a significant change in like the way it's paced and the way it just kind of does its thing. Like the setup feels completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that makes it like unique in its own little way.
So yeah, I was gonna say, did you like that? Did you like that change?
I liked it in the sense that like it added some flavor to the series. But as a sequel, I think there were some moments where I was like, this feels a little awkward compared to the other ones. Where that's one thing I liked about the second one. I think more was, I think its tone was just, it set itself. It kind of carried that vibe from the first one, and it ran with it in its own little way.
Yeah. Where
3 kind of like it occasionally stumbled in its tone, and it was just like, we're trying something new. You like it? And it's just like,
I did notice that too with the transitions.
Mm-hmm.
How when a big scene would transition to a big scene, the way it got in between those two felt... It really exposed the film as being different than the first two. Yeah. And in the sense that it also the action kind of stopped, whereas the other two, the action really never stopped. It kept going almost the entire time.
Yeah, it feels a lot more like paced in the first two, where it's like it never truly dies down. Where with 3, it's just like it's big scene after big scene, and then the lull in between is like, yeah, it's plot, but at the same time, okay.
Yeah, but one thing that this film definitely took advantage of was the bigger budget.
Yes.
In not memeable ways, in very outlandish and funny, and at times funny ways, and in very cool ways, and sometimes an amalgamation of all 3 of those things.
Yeah.
I'll just say there's a lot of explosions in this film, a lot more than... Now, of course, there's the iconic... Well, no, I won't say it. But, yeah, there's a lot of explosions in this film.
Yeah.
There's a crazy boat chase that happens out of nowhere.
Yeah, there's a boat chase. There's the whole ending bit of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, the action is pretty crazy.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. But I will say, like, even compared to, like, some of, like, even American action movies of the time, it is, I will say, quite a bit smaller than, like, even some of those. And I think it does do a lot better at, like, masking it.
Well, that's what I love about foreign films or international films is that they always... Well, I hate that they always get smaller budgets than a lot of the American films, but because they get smaller budgets, they know how to take advantage of that budget. They know. It's not like American films. They know they're not getting more money. That's the money they're getting, and they're going to have to work with it somehow, some way. And that's one thing that they're all, those great international films are good with. They're very resourceful.
Yeah. Like I'd say that you just like Police Story 3 feels a lot better than I'd say even a lot of those action movies from the time where it's just like, it feels like they just threw money at it and it was just like, it works, right? No.
Yeah.
Like, a little bit of a different thing. I just watched Deep Blue Sea yesterday.
The greatest movie of all time?
Totally. That movie.
Also 80s or no?
90s.
Oh, 90s.
Late
okay.
90s. I think it's like 99.
Okay.
That is a movie where they were just like, throw as much money as you can at it. Real sharks? What are those? CGI. Yes, the sharks in that movie are CGI. There's a few things that are just like, obviously like gross CGI. They're just like, why would you do this? And I feel like it's just because it was like, hey, it's an American movie. We can throw money at it because we can. But like there is an energy to smaller movies that are so magical. I mean, this one that's kind of a little more modern that we watched recently was Get Out. That movie has a tiny ass budget. Like, I mean, compared to even for like modern standards, tiny. And I think it masks itself really well, and it doesn't compromise in like the fact that, hey, we got like next to nothing compared to half of these other Blumhouse movies. We're gonna make something that's 10 times more special.
That's a good point. And TJ, you know what's an interesting comparison actually is Peele's first 3 movies to Police Story's first 3 movies. How in every one the budget went up by a large margin.
The budget goes up and now I wouldn't compare Peele's. We're not calling Peele's a trilogy, obviously, but his first 3 films. I wouldn't necessarily compare his filmography.
Yeah, it just as far as quality comparisons on how the quality is maintained throughout the 3, I wouldn't compare to the Police Story movies. I think quality between the 3 Police Story movies is maintained a lot better than Peele's 3.
Yeah,
but I mean Peele. I mean, we talked about Nope. We both love Nope. We won't get into that now. Obviously, we're talking about Police Story 3, but we talked about it actually in a previous podcast. If you guys want to check that out, previous episode when we were talking about Nope. Mm-hmm. But yeah, back to Police Story 3, they again really took advantage of the budget.
Yeah,
and had some, like for example, that boat chase scene where you'd think this is out of place and shouldn't work. That is Emerson. If you guys can hear that, that's a doorbell. Where you'd think, why would there be a boat chase in a Police Story movie? Why and how would that work?
Yeah.
But they make it work, and they make it beneficial to the story, which is something that, again, is nice because it is them using that budget to explore different avenues that actually make sense and add a different flavor to different aspect of the film.
Yeah. Another thing that, like, just, like, they traveled around was, like, like I said, they traveled around. They did different countries and stuff like that. Like, they go from jungle to water to different cities and different feels in cities and stuff like that. Or compared to, like, the other ones where it's, like, it's just Hong Kong. Which means it's also pretty cool, but it's definitely one of those things where it's like, you see, we have budget to fly our crew out and shoot in the middle of the jungle. It's awesome. Yeah. Like, that's cool.
It's...
Actually, I'm going to check what the budget for this movie was now.
Yeah, good idea. That was, I think, also, it wasn't as valuable as the addition of Michelle Yeoh, but it was, again, valuable in making it different than the other two, because, like I said, if we did get a third one where it had more similarities and didn't have Michelle Yeoh, I don't think it would be nearly as good as this one turned out to be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I found it. The budget for this one was $900,000 US.
Okay. Which is, if you think about it, for what they did, is as we were talking about, resourceful.
Yeah. Okay, so this one came out in 92, so what's just look up Silence of the Lambs, because that's around the same time.
Okay.
I think, yeah, a year before is Silence of the Lambs. The budget for that movie is $19 million.
Okay, but let's do this. Since we were doing action movies,
Yeah.
speaking of Point Break,
Point Break.
look at Point Break, because that was 91.
Yeah. Not the 2015 one.
Why did they? That's a
24.
whole other thing. 24 million?
24.
Yeah. So that's the exact point, is what they were able to do with that smaller budget, literally less than 1/24th the size of Point Break's budget, and is arguably a more thrilling movie than Point Break at certain times, with how high intensity Jackie Chan and Michelle Yeoh get with their stunts, which I think is what we need to also highlight. Is one of the more infamous stories that came out of this film was how Michelle Yeoh and Jackie Chan were going back and forth at each other with trying to top each other with the action. Leave.
Have you joined our communist session?
Go talk to.
Why don't you come in?
Go talk to. No. Have him go talk to BFG for a second. Go talk to BFG in his room.
Why don't you here? Come on in.
And then you're gonna come in and talk later.
Very mixed messages here.
It's time for you to come in. Sit down.
Obama.
It's a good time.
Go talk to William for 10 minutes, then come back.
10 minutes.
Is he here?
Yeah, he's in his room, I think. Is he in his
Beat
room?
him up.
If he's not in his room, then just come back and sit on the couch.
What a communist.
What a communist. That was Emerson,
Just saying,
who rudely interrupted
What can
us.
I say? I'm a communist.
I can't leave set. I've done that too many times already.
Yeah.
I'll just sit here awkwardly.
Yeah, that's right. Joseph Stalin.
No, I can't do that. It's copyright. Dang it. I was going to play the Russian national anthem. Oh, well.
I don't know this song, so I'm singing the melody.
Oh, my gosh. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Michelle Yeoh and Jackie Chan.
They're awesome.
They're awesome. The infamous story is that they kept going back at each other with seeing who could top each other with stunts. And ultimately that created one of the most harrowing stunts that I've seen any stuntman or actor or actress do, which is the jump from the hill to the train on the motorbike.
Yeah.
It's
pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. And it isn't as flashy as some of the other stuff Jackie Chan's done in other movies, but it is equally, if not more dangerous than a lot of the stuff Jackie was doing. Because, right, you got to think about it. I'm going to use this fan remote as Michelle Yeoh on the bike. If you can see this visually on YouTube, if not, I'll try and commentate this. But basically,
you're going from one moving object going from a normal thing to a moving.
Right,
plane
that has gaps in between. So if she doesn't time it right, and keep in mind too, right, she has to start further down because she goes up on this hill. Basically, she drives up on this hill, and if you might have seen the video because it's an iconic sort of actors highlight that they show for stunts or Michelle Yeoh or whatever. So I'm sure even if you haven't seen this movie, some people will have already seen this clip, but it's impressive timing because she has to start further down the hill.
Yeah.
She can't start right at the top. So she has to see, okay, I see that's the cart that I need to, the box that I need to land on. So I have to start now, and I have to make sure I have this certain speed and then land on it and make it. And they're in the outtakes, which is what's great about the police story movies, is they always show the dangerous and the failed stunts.
The only movie I actually like outtakes in the credits.
Yeah. Yes, agreed. Because they are just they are just that interesting and sort of gripping and nerve-wracking watching these actors and actresses that you love watching so much just like almost die pretty much.
Yeah, and the way they put it together is a lot more interesting.
Okay, you're saying because it's put together a lot more. It's put together more rawly or
I don't know,
a lot more raw.
There's a way that I don't know. There's a way that they edit it together that it feels more natural than watching like the really really shitty like Hollywood comedy one.
Do you like the Rush Hour outtakes or no?
Okay. I mean, I think it's a thing of the past where it was like late '90s comedies always had outtakes and they're very cringy. Like one movie that always comes to mind is Charlie's Angels. That does that.
Okay, who does this have one? Which one?
Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, and Lucy Liu.
Okay.
Those movies are already cringy to begin with, and that is their appeal. Adding even cringier, like, outtakes at the end, abysmal. I hate it. I have to skip them because I cringe into oblivion if I watch them. Then again, that's like every comedy movie because it's the actor screwing up a line and they stare at the camera and laugh, and it's not funny. I don't get the appeal of watching it. But there's something about these ones where it's like they're crazy and they're all over the place, and it's just like, whoa, a lot more. There's like the feel of it's there. It actually works. I like it.
Yeah, I agree, but for a different reason, which is what I was saying earlier. I like how raw they feel. How they're not finished. It's just here's the clips and we're just gonna.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It doesn't feel as processed. It feels like they just threw it together and there was like, here's what we did. Here's how we screwed it up at times, and then it makes you appreciate what you watched even better. It doesn't feel as processed and goofy and bad as all the other ones. Yeah.
But did I finish what I was saying? Oh yeah.
Kind of.
So there's the Michelle Yeoh thing, and it's easy to screw up, and she did screw up on multiple times because as we see in the outtakes at the very end, she the bike gets caught in between the boxes and and she falls off, and I think she might have overshot one time a little.
She does, yeah.
And
she tries to pull a Skyfall and she doesn't.
Yeah, and then Jackie's big stunt is the helicopter where he gets on the ladder. Now, TJ, you and I and my brother were talking about them having a harness on Chan. We were wondering if they were doing that.
Yeah.
That might be true for some bits, but this is just random that that I just found when I was watching YouTube videos. That made it even more freaky. There was the original moment when he jumps on to the ladder. Mm-hmm. He did that with absolutely nothing. It was just like a small box that he jumped onto and was hanging on it for an extended period of time. But that is Jackie, and I've said this on numerous occasions, and I think we can end this here. This is how we can end it, and we can give our final thoughts on the movie.
Supercop.
2 is, man. Every time I watch this one, I watch the second one, the first one. We just don't get movies like this, and we don't have actors doing stuff like this except for Tom Cruise. But even then, it's just different. And I don't know what your preference is, TJ, but I like this, what Jackie as an actor does in the stunt category than Tom does. What Tom does is great, and it is captivating and everything. But there's something a little bit, and I'm using this word again, there's something a little bit more raw about what Jackie's doing.
Because it is.
Because it is.
Yeah.
That makes it more appealing to me, and I do like more.
Yeah. I'd say for me, I think I enjoy watching Jackie's more. I think there's something about like the quickness and just the feel of it. And
that's a good point, yeah.
Whereas with Tom Cruise, it's very big. It's crazy. He's climbing a building. He's like doing all this crazy, like more big budget stuff where Jackie's just like, yeah, I'm going to jump onto a helicopter because I feel like it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's one thing that always keeps me coming back to Jackie movies. I saw a clip from the the 5th police story recently, where they fight in a Lego store.
Okay.
Oh my god, it's awesome.
Okay.
I think it's one of the coolest action scenes I've seen in a long time. I only saw like 30 seconds of it.
That gets us. I'm looking forward to the 5th one even more now. Then.
Yeah, I heard it's like the reinvention of the series, where it's like it's a little darker. I heard like at the pace, or not the pacing, like the feel is just it reinvents itself. And I think some people say it's for the better. They say it's one of the better sequels, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
for it.
And I think we should also mention that too is we do want to finish out this series, the police story series, because we're both obviously really liking it, as we have just been talking about for the last 20 minutes. And it's just, yeah, I'll add on to what you were saying, TJ, too, about his stuff, is what you were getting at, which is the fact that it's like, what everyday normal objects and things can I use or to propel my crazy action or whatever. Whereas with Tom Cruise, it's you never would see that object in this place, or you never really see
you never see
that sort of thing on an everyday thing. But with Jackie, you see for example, the metal poles or whatever in a mall that he's sliding down, that he's, or something, some stuff like that, which is very appealing, and it is very sad that there isn't other people that do this kind of thing that Jackie does to this extent. I mean, there's others, of course, but there really is no one like Mr. Chan.
Oh, definitely not.
Definitely not. On that note, I think we will end things here. TJ, is there anything else you'd like to add about Near Dark, Police Story 3, or Supercop, Police Story 3, same thing?
Yeah.
Anything like that?
No, I'm good. I honestly don't have anything too crazy to say. Yeah, I need to start watching good movies again.
That's fair.
I mentioned this earlier. I have been on a streak of really mediocre movies, and I need to watch something good. I can feel my life force draining.
Oh boy, that's not good.
Yeah,
that is not good.
The only thing keeping me alive is Doctor Who.
What do I need to do? Well, unfortunately, I don't know if Bullet Train's going to do that for you. Who knows? I've heard mixed things on it. Or I've not heard mixed things on it. I've heard it's not that special or anything, but
I've heard down the middle. I think it has a 70% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. I've heard some things that, like, sometimes it's a little much, but sometimes for the most part it's pretty good. So
I've heard the reviews that I've read. We can end this here, but is that, and the reason we're mentioning Bullet Train is because we're gonna go watch it in a couple hours,
80 minutes.
80 minutes. Apparently, and I will confirm or deny this, we both will if we talk about it on the podcast. Apparently, he doesn't know whether it wants to be comedic or serious, apparently, is what I've heard is a common theme. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we'll find out if that's true or not. Thank you for listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever, or watching us on our YouTube channel at the Manic Misfits podcast. Same title as our podcast. And we will catch you on the next episode of the Manic Misfits podcast. Peace.
See ya.